Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 65. I am Brendan. We're going to talk about Conor McGregor today. Woo! Every MMA fan's favorite topic and worst nightmare when it comes to talking about casuals since Ronda Rousey basically retired. We've got UFC 264 coming up this weekend. Pretty big deal. Obviously, the aforementioned Conor McGregor taking on Dustin Poirier. We've got a welterweight, I would say, title eliminator fight. Judging by how things have gone, there's no way to know, but that's what it should be. Interesting heavyweight fight, some bantamweights, female and male, one with more questionable matchmaking than the other. Anyway, before we get to any of that, please like and subscribe. If you like what we do, if you like what I'm doing, please comment down below. Let me know what you like about this. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know about what you think about my opinions. What's your opinion on the fights that are happening? Let me know what your predictions. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm right. Please have a discussion with me. I love talking about MMA. I can't get enough of it. Ask anybody I work with. They hate talking about it with me because I never shut up. Well, never shut up in general, but also never shut up about MMA. All right, let's get right to it. All right, we got UFC 264 coming up this weekend. Big deal as far as notoriety goes, because obviously we have Conor McGregor. There's also some news this week. Obviously, because Conor McGregor's fighting, we're going to get some more analysts involved in it. I say analysts loosely because he is an analyst elsewhere, and he's been thrown in the MMA sphere with his hot bullshit takes. Stephen A. Smith is, again, covering this fight. Can't wait to hear what other bullshit he spews so we can have some fun memes for the rest of the week. And, of course, they're probably going to be posting his bullshit sparring. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let's talk about the fight itself before we get around the circus and some other cool fight news coming up, too. If I don't get to it, Nick Diaz possibly fighting Robbie Lawler again. Super exciting to have him back. Ooh, all right. So, obviously, they fought earlier this year. Dustin Poirier defeating Conor McGregor in the second round. The second round was the TKO, obviously the knockout, or the TKO that spawned, 1,000 memes with Conor McGregor basically, laying on his hand, chilling in the octagon after he lost his last fight. I want to just come out and say that, Dustin should win this again. But there's just something stopping me. My initial reaction should just be, yeah, Dustin's going to come out and win. He chopped him down with the leg kicks. He was able to handle whatever Conor threw at him before. His cardio's better than Conor's. His striking looks crisp enough to get it done. And he has the power, to get it done. Not necessarily more power, better, not better striking. His game plan worked. He's got better cardio, and he has what it takes to beat Conor. We saw it. It happened earlier this year. But something is just stopping me from outright saying that that's what's going to happen. I've been asked by like 2 or 3 different people who know that I follow MMA. And like I said, MMA fans, favorite and least favorite week, because, during the build up to a Conor McGregor fight, is because I'm, fielding questions from people who are genuinely interested, as well as people who are just like coming at me with their bullshit takes, like, oh, there's no way Dustin's going to handle Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's going to knock him out. Like, whatever. With no explanation behind it, just that he's going to knock him out. And he might be right. Conor might go in there and find that sweet spot and knock him out. So, yeah. What is really giving me pause and just outright, because I'll give it out up front here. I do think Dustin is going to get it done more often than not this weekend. I'm leaning like 70-30 in his direction, which I think is a flip of what I had last time with Conor. It's just, before the last fight, I said that Conor was going to find Dustin's chin at some point. And I thought that would have been the end of the fight. Now, I heavily implied that he was going to get the win that way. So I wasn't completely correct in saying that, like, oh, Conor's going to find his chin, and then that was it. Like, that's all I was going to say. But go back and watch the fight. It's not very long, right? We're only talking about 7.5 minutes here. Watch that first fight. Conor had a lot of success, guys. He did. He found Dustin's chin, and his combos and his, like, slick, combos. He doesn't usually have very extended combos. It's more, it's not even a 1-2. I don't know all the numbers for the things that he's doing, where he slips the jab and goes for like a lead uppercut after he steps into it. So, he plays off that jab, Dustin's jab, really well, and caught Dustin quite a few times right on the chin. It just wasn't enough to get it done. And the post-fight analysis, if you want to call it what it is, like for me, my post-fight analysis, going back and watching it again, he just didn't have the snap on his punches. Now, is that because he's at 155? Is that because, he's going against a bigger Dustin? Is that because he's been out of the game for, what was it? He was out of the game for an entire year. Now he's coming off. It's only been 6 months. What were the factors that led to Conor McGregor just not getting it done, other than, he just wasn't the better fighter that night? Because there were spurts in which he got it done, right? He was landing on Dustin. Now, you can give credit to Dustin's game plan and his abilities to land the leg kicks and slow Conor down, maybe reduce his ability to throw that punch, and, and inevitably getting the win. And I think the leg kicks were a huge portion of that. Obviously, that was talked to death after it happened. But all that being said, like, it's not even like a puncher's chance. I think that's such a bullshit thing to say as far as this scenario goes. That's like saying Conor's completely washed, and the only way he gets this done is by, not a lucky knockout, but a big swing and a knockout, like a Derek Lewis type thing. That's not what would happen. Conor can still get this done. He found Dustin's chin the first time. If he somehow gets it back, if we find out that just wasn't his night, maybe I don't think his cardio is going to improve ever. Guys, it's way past that point. We've seen enough of him to know that his cardio is not going to be great. Now, there have been lots of pictures of him on a bicycle. Great. Maybe he has been. He's trying to strengthen up his legs and, get ready for leg kicks and whatever. He doesn't have bad takedown defense either. I know he said first one to shoot's a bitch. I get that. It's all just mind games with him, and I think he's done a pretty good job for this time. Maybe he wants Dustin to shoot in. Maybe he's expecting Dustin to shoot in this time instead of just boxing with him. And, the lead up to the last fight, that's the other part that I didn't mention, is he said he only trained boxing because he was only expecting Dustin to box with him. Do I think that's smart? Absolutely not. It's retarded. Like, who does that for an MMA fight? I don't care who you're fighting. Like, you don't just train boxing. So was that a bit hyperbolic and maybe a little bit of laying down a layer of an excuse to ease some of the pain of the loss, whether it be for himself, his fans, or his detractors, whatever. All of that being said, I really do think Dustin gets it done, but I just can't come out and say that there's no way that Conor wins, because that's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't mean in that 1 in a million type MMA gods decide that this weekend does not go the betting does not go the way it's supposed to type of deal. I mean it that Conor could be the better fighter out there. He could catch Dustin the way he caught him the first time they fought, and he could put him to sleep in a skillful manner, not with a lucky punch or some lucky strike. And he could keep distance with his kicks, god dang it. I mean, he could land some spinning kicks. Like, there's no reason he couldn't go back to those things. I tend to believe he's not going to, because that's not something we've seen. But then again, he's only fought 5 times since 2016. You want to average it out, it's once a year, right? He didn't fight, obviously, in MMA from 2016 to 2018. No, yeah. And then he fought once last year, and once this year so far. Not a lot of time in the octagon. Like I said, I'm a huge Dustin fan. I think he's fantastic. I think he's a great ambassador for the sport. I think he's a terrific human being. You know, he has his flaws like anybody else, and he obviously breaks and doesn't break character. It's just, you know, Conor has gotten to him and other people have gotten to him, and he's kind of broke that nice man streak. It's just, he's such a good guy for the sport to have as a figurehead, especially in one of the premier divisions that lightweight is. I think it's a big plus having him win. That being said, if Conor wins, that's great for the sport because, you know, it's more publicity. Conor's back in the limelight. Oh my gosh, look at Conor. Conor's back. Conor this, Conor that. Oh, Conor versus Charles Oliveira. Blah, blah, blah. The possibilities are endless. I don't think there's a loser this weekend. I mean, not true. I don't think the UFC loses from this weekend. I think Conor winning is probably bigger for the UFC money-wise. But I think as far as the division goes, I think Dustin winning is better for the division because it's more lineal that way, and you don't have a guy like Conor coming in and disrupting the rankings the way he would if he won. Because let me look. Shame on me, I didn't look beforehand. Oh, he's ranked 5, so it's not that bad. Why he's ranked 5? No one knows. Just kidding. We all know why. Just we know that he shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm going with Dustin. I really do think he gets it done again. I don't know if it's a similar fashion. I've seen him, you know, I mean, the nickname Diamond is great because he really thrives under pressure. And I know that's cheesy and silly, but look at that Justin Gaethje fight. You know, he didn't wilt under that pressure. His leg was shot, and he just withstood the pressure from Justin and kept going. And you tell me Conor is going to put that kind of pressure on him? I don't think so. Do I think he could out-tactic him and outwit him for 5 straight rounds? That's a possibility. But I think Conor's best path to victory here is a first or second round TKO or knockout. I don't think I'm being controversial by saying that. I thought it was going to happen last time, and I really did. And who knows? Look, I'm going to be wrong, and it's going to happen this time, and Dustin's going to look like ass. It's the way things are, man. It's hard to know. I haven't seen Conor fight except the last time he fought Dustin, and he didn't look that great. Dustin looked phenomenal. Who knows? They can come out and be complete opposites of that. I'm going Dustin. I'm not rooting for either one. I just want to enjoy the fight. I kind of will probably pick who I'm rooting for as the fight goes on, like many of us do. All right. Co-main event. This is my fight. This is my favorite fight of the freaking night. At least on the main card. So, sorry. Gilbert Burns taking on Stephen Thompson. Holy shit, guys. Is this such a good fight? You have Gilbert Burns, who can strike. Kind of, he's a little sloppy, but he hits hard, right? His striking isn't terrible. He's got great jiu-jitsu, decent takedowns, and takedown defense, which ain't going to come in handy against Stephen Thompson because he ain't shooting. Versus Wonder Boy, who's arguably the most unique striker, the most unique and effective striker in the UFC. I would say that obviously Yair Rodriguez or Sean O'Malley or, you know, Israel Adesanya are all unique strikers. And I would say Izzy's probably has the best argument as being the most unique and effective. But other than that freak knockout from Anthony Pettis, Stephen Thompson should have had another title shot. You know, and he made a great argument. He's the only one in the top 10 or whatever, other than like some other guys who are coming off of one win, who haven't really put together or stayed in the top 10 or top 5 like Stephen Thompson has for an extended period of time, who hasn't fought Kamaru Usman yet. And I believe that he does provide a unique challenge. Do I think Kamaru can get that win? Obviously. Do I think Stephen Thompson could get the win? Yes, I do. I think that's a fun fight to have, especially because there's no bad blood. We don't have to have animosity. Maybe we'll see Kamaru Usman be genuine leading up to the damn fight, please. Unlikely, but possible. That being said, Gilbert Burns can, like, if he gets a win, could he? I know I'm not talking about the fight. I'm going to get to it in a second, but I think it's also important to talk about because, like I said in the intro, I really believe that this fight should be the title eliminator. Like, I know that Leon Edwards is waiting and blah blah blah, right? I get that. I made it my point very clear on why I don't think he deserves a title shot right now based off of his recent performances. The what have you done for me lately type of thing. Whether I think that's totally fair or not, I just don't think it belongs to him right now. While I don't think Colby Covington should be getting the rematch right now anyway, but that's supposedly happening. So with that being said, and the possibility of Masvidal fighting Leon Edwards and giving him some more publicity to get over on, I would say Gilbert Burns, Stephen Thompson, the winner goes up and fights Kamaru Usman. Gilbert Burns getting the rematch, that would be a harder sell. I would say Leon Edwards over Gilbert Burns because Gilbert has already had his shot. Now, Gilbert Burns could face another person in there. Like the way that the division works out, maybe Colby wins the second time. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's say it did. Then we have a bunch of fresh matchups anyway, and I think that's a lot of fun stuff. Stephen Thompson, on the other hand, I think has a really good argument for why he deserves the title shot if he does get the win this weekend. And all that setup is why this is my favorite fight because we've got two of the most exciting fighters in the UFC for different reasons. You got Stephen Thompson is one of my favorite fighters of all time, skill-wise, personality-wise, the way he gives back to the community as far as like information and time goes. I think that's fantastic. The way he's very open and honest about like his situation. He's very natural and it is who he is, which is, like I said, one of the things that I love the most is when, people in general, but especially fighters. When fighters are honest with who they are and they're honest to the public and MMA fans, I think they quickly rise in stock for me, right? As far as like my favorites. Like, and I've said this before, Masvidal. I don't think I'd want to hang out with him, nor do I think he deserves the credibility as a fighter that he has gotten based off of his record, right? Who he has fought, the competition he has fought, and the time and the results that he got. I don't think he deserves the notoriety that he has received. That being said, I like him because he is who he is, and he's also an amazing fighter. Like all that stuff I just said, Masvidal is astounding in how well he has aged in his career. He's still one of the best fighters in the world. He can still win on any given night against anybody in the welterweight division. I think he's great. He's a unique personality. He's a fun guy. He's got a great story, all that stuff. Stephen Thompson just is one over on everybody as far as personality goes. He's the coolest person ever. Like, I think he's so cool. And then Gilbert Burns, like I said, a genuine guy. He's really excitable, loves to get in there and scrap. He really wants the belt. He went in there and he landed a big shot on Kamaru and got overzealous, fell down, and Kamaru kicked him in the butt for probably, I think it was like a minute and 15 seconds or something like that, and got his wits back about him. Gilbert Burns absolutely can beat Usman. Absolutely. And I think Stephen Thompson could also beat him. Usman isn't this like unbeatable destroyer with a rock chin. Like, he has a good chin. Don't get me wrong. He has a good chin. He can be beat. We're not talking about John Jones in his prime beating up a bunch of old elderly men. My gut tells me Burns wins this, but I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. Like, I'm rooting for Thompson because I want that title fight to happen. That's what I want. Right? I don't dislike Burns. I don't want him to lose. I just want Thompson to win. Something tells me Burns can get it done. He's got. It's hard to win against Thompson, and even if he does win, I don't know how he looks good. I mean, he obviously could get the knockout. Thompson's been knocked out before, so that could happen. I'm super excited for this fight. I'm most interested in it, and it sucks that it's only 3 rounds. I think it's bullshit. All right. Let's see. We got Tai Tuivasa taking on Greg Hardy. Another good challenge for Greg Hardy. If he loses this fight, it puts him at 7-4, 0-1. I mean, how is everybody feeling about the Greg Hardy experiment? You know, I think I've shit on him a little bit, especially early on in his UFC career, but I think he looks good for a heavyweight. I really do. He doesn't have superior technique in any fashion. His cardio is questionable at times. I think he has a lot of room for growth. I really do. It's just how much time are we going to give him? You know? Sorry, my camera died here. Like, how much time are we going to give Greg Hardy here before we call it on the experiment? Because I mean, even if he beats Tai this weekend, what is that really saying for him and the heavyweight division? Tai's not ranked, is he? Not anymore. Tai's a big knockout artist. Greg's a knockout guy. I mean, it's a heavyweight fight. Anything could happen, so I'm interested in seeing what happens. But I don't think it really tells us much about Greg Hardy if he gets a quick knockout. And Tai's not known for his takedowns. So, that's what we're really looking for in Greg Hardy is growth in the complete MMA space. Yeah, I don't got much on that one. It's a heavyweight fight, guys. They're going to be throwing really heavy early on. They're probably both going to get tired and sloppy if it goes later. Is what it is. All right, bantamweight. We got Yana Kunitskaya versus Irene Aldana. Why do I feel like Irene Aldana isn't a bantamweight? No, she got the win. Yeah, her last fight was a loss to Holly Holm. That's right. That was her setback. I don't know. I want to see her when she knocked out Vieira. That was awesome. So, Yana Kunitskaya is ranked number 5. Aldana's ranked number 4 with her setback against Holly Holm. Holly Holm's probably unfortunately probably still the top contender in that. Aspen Ladd, I guess. It just sucks. Bantamweight sucks right now, guys. It just does. You can't have a dominant champion who has cleared out the division and then have a bunch of people who can't beat each other, let alone show some sort of skill or ability that indicates that they can beat the champ. Whether it be a 1 in a million shot or not, you can't have that and have an exciting division. You just can't. Right? You just can't. This has happened before in the UFC. It kind of happened with Anderson Silva. It didn't happen so much with GSP because I felt like every contender with GSP, everybody's like, oh no, this is the guy who can do it because of this, this, and this. Anderson Silva had that a little bit. That's one of the reasons why I put GSP higher than Anderson Silva on my GOAT list. Khabib, it's a unique scenario. This never happened. For me, John Jones, this was a big thing for John Jones. Is who's coming up to challenge and who's presenting a unique skill set that's going to go take on Jones. We had the DC, but we had Anthony Rumble Johnson who never got the chance to fight him. Other than that, it was like I said, a bunch of elderly folk going up there and not able to do it. So with Irene Aldana and Yana Kunitskaya, either one of them wins, that could put him in. I mean, we're not going to watch Holly. I have no idea. I have no idea what happens after this fight. They're just going to bang their heads against each other until Nunes retires. And then one of them's going to get the title shot. Like they're gonna make a title fight based off of the most popular woman who's had the last couple, like 2 wins in a row, or if or if Holly Holm's still around, then they might give it to her and let her have a belt so someone can make a name off of her. Whatever. I mean, I'm not shitting on the fighters. Like, they are what they are. It's just the division's not exciting to me, and I don't care. There's one true challenge for Amanda Nunes, and it's a woman who beat her once already. Valentina Shevchenko. I didn't mean to leave you hanging. I thought that was pretty obvious. All right. Open up the main card. We got Sean O'Malley fighting Chris Motino. Who? This is his first UFC fight. He's 9-4. I don't care if he's a touted prospect or not. If you're gonna do this stuff, this is stuff you should have done with Sean O'Malley 3 fights ago. Like I mean, yeah, he's beating up vets and that's fine. He's shown he's not the most durable fighter, but he is sure exciting and can hit damn hard. And it's fine. Like, I think O'Malley's a great fighter, and I think this is the kind of fight that should have happened like 3 years ago. And a lot of people have wanted to fight O'Malley, and I don't know if he said no or the UFC doesn't want him to fight him. I don't know what the deal is. Either way, why is this on the main card? Oh, wait, because it's Sugar Sean. Whatever. Like, I don't think he's that popular outside the MMA space. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people who smoke weed really love this guy and they want to see him fight. Whatever. I think it's silly to put him on the main card when we have, on the prelims, we have Carlos Condit versus Max Griffin. Carlos Condit, still doing the damn thing, all right? I'm talking about one of the greatest of all time at welterweight. Lifetime welterweight, never bounced up and down, did none of that stuff. In my opinion, should have been the champ. He beat Robbie Lawler when they fought for the title. In my opinion, I thought he had it, so whatever. I just want to see him. Like, I want to see him get a win. I'm always excited to watch Carlos Condit fight. It's hard to watch if he's diminished. We'll see. But anyway, I think it's going to be fun. I'm rooting for Carlos Condit. I like Max Griffin and all, but you can't root against a natural-born killer. But yeah, you're telling me that shouldn't be on the main card just on merit? Or like maybe you can bump the Irene Aldana fight in the versus Yana Kunitskaya. Like, here's another one that's fun for the main card. Nico Price versus Michelle Pereira. Are you really? You're not going to put that on? You're telling me that's not going to be exciting? Whether it's a quick knockout or a sloppy slugfest later on. That's going to be a fun-ass fight. Nico Price is durable as hell, hits crazy hard, has some unorthodox style. Michelle Pereira sounds pretty familiar, only he also dances. So, like, I don't know why this is on the prelims, but it is. This fight's going to be super exciting. Probably, that's my pick for probably the most exciting fight of the night. Probably fight of the night candidate there. Outside of them, obviously the main two could steal that. I'm rooting for Nico Price. How about that? Michelle Pereira has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way with the way he hasn't taken things serious. If he calms himself down, takes the game a little bit more serious without losing his flair, maybe things will change. Ryan Hall. Holy crap. Ryan Hall hasn't fought in forever. How is he not ranked? Say, Ryan Hall's the darkest of dark horses, especially in the featherweight division. Like, no one knows who he is. But he's, he's a freaking jiu-jitsu wizard. He lost his very first fight in MMA back in 2006. Didn't fight for 6 years. Then has won 8 fights in a row. Those fights in the UFC, last 4, Artem Lobov. Not a bad win. Gray Maynard. Not a bad win. BJ Penn. Via heel hook. That's pretty good. Darren Elkins. That was in July of 2019, and he's been looking for a fight since then. Like, there's no winning against Ryan Hall. Like, if you lose to him, like, your stock takes a huge hit. He's 36 years old. Like, he just wants to get in there. Also, shout out to Ryan Hall fans. I love his win, his his win face. It's oh well, yeah. So I'm rooting for him against Ilya Topuria. Yeah, I don't know who that is. He's 10-0, but I don't care. Ryan Hall needs some wins. I want to see him. I think he's a fun challenge at featherweight. Throw him in the top 10 and let him loose. Nobody wants to fight him, by the way. Everybody has turned him down. Trevin Giles versus Dricus Du Plessis. Dricus. I'm gonna eat shit for that one. That should be a fun fight. Jennifer Maia versus Jessica Ai. Jessica Ai taking time off of her OnlyFans site to come fight again. That's fun. Brad Tavares versus Omari Akhmedov. Brad Tavares still doing it, man. Like, he's a tough dude. Saugus Umagalev. These guys, I might know their name afterwards. Never heard of them beforehand. 3-2. How do you get in the UFC, son? Anyway. Yeah, that's my breakdown and what's coming up for this weekend, UFC 264. But some fun news. So Robbie Lawler fighting Nick Diaz. So Nick Diaz is supposed to come back and fight Robbie Lawler. That would be fantastic. I want to see that rematch. I think that's great. There's a lot of stuff on the horizon in the UFC that can be very exciting. But if the status quo remains just that, then we end up with arguably, I mean, what have we had this year that has been super exciting? I mean, the Usman knockout of Masvidal was surprising and kind of exciting, so that's cool. A big moment for him. But that's the thing, is all this stuff has been stained by this crappy matchmaking, and then obviously with recent news of Ngannou saying no to a September card, and then Cyril Gane versus Derek Lewis being promoted to first that fight being made, and then also promoted to a interim title fight. I think that people have been up in arms because of a lot of this stuff based off of how the UFC is treating their fighters. And I agree with all that. But if you go back to the depositions and all the release statements from the UFC, especially when it comes to, like, just specifically for this example, let's just talk about the belts. They are meaningless. The UFC creates them, and they have no meaning other than essentially jewelry. Okay? The UFC decides what a championship means at any given time. There's no guarantee, unless you have it specifically in your contract, there is no guarantee that if you are the interim title holder that you will be given the next title shot. If you are the title holder, there is no guarantee that the next title fight in your division will be yours. There might be an interim title fight, even if you're ready for a fight. There's no guarantees of any of that stuff. There are some guarantees in their contract that Dana White has talked about, where you're offered at least 3 fights a year, right? And if you turn all of them down, then so be it. They did their part. Now, those might be shit fights for you. They might not. They might be bad matchups. They might be, a crappy card. They might not be, it could be whatever. I'm just saying, these people, these fighters, right, are getting really upset after they're famous. They're getting really upset after they've put in all the hard work and they expect a certain reward that wasn't clearly laid out in their current contract. The UFC treats their fighters relatively shittily when it comes to other professional organizations. Obviously, if you're in the know, you know that most professional organizations, I say organizations because I mean, we're talking about NBA, NFL, blah, 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 right? MLB. The players' associations, the unions, the player unions have made it so that half of the revenue gets directed towards the players. Now, there's a lot more money in those sports because there's a lot more teams that, are multi-billion-dollar teams, whereas the UFC is a billion-dollar industry on its own, and that's it. It's like I think it sold for $4.2 billion back in, wow, that was a long time ago, 2014, 2013, holy crud, by what is now Endeavor. So, the UFC employs 400 fighters. That's a lot. But that's not a lot of money to go around. Now, if they had done things, or if they did things like other organizations do, other professional sports do, they would give them half of the revenue. Well, we know that they only give them about 18 to 20%. So let's look at other fighting organizations, something like Strikeforce or WEC. Pride, I think, is an unfair example. It's run by a criminal organization. Literally, that's, the Yakuza was running it. So if you want change to happen for you, get a better contract to begin with. If you can't get it, then guess what? You're not worth what you're asking for right now. So you have to fight out your contract, and then you deal with the repercussions afterwards, whether those be good repercussions or bad repercussions. You're on a 5-fight win streak, and you had a 5-fight contract, and you're setting up a title shot. Now's a good time to negotiate. Say, if I get that title, I need X, Y, and Z. That kind of thing. If you would like things to get better for every fighter, stop signing contracts with the UFC the way you're doing. Go to another organization. This is not an easy answer. I'm not telling anybody to give up their way of life, their ability to make money for their family, nor do I think that every fighter in the UFC has money for their family, or vice versa. I don't think everybody does that to take care of their family. It's just everybody wants to put the blame on the organization. While the organization deserves a majority of the blame, let's put a percentage on it, 80%. They wouldn't exist if people didn't sign the contracts or agree to fight. If at the end of your contract you don't like what the UFC is offering you, go somewhere else. Test the free market. See what they're going to offer you. I bet you a lot of fighters have, and they like what the UFC is offering them, so they stay. They know that the upside is higher with the UFC than it would be with Bellator. Even if in the meantime getting to that title or whatever notoriety they would like to reach, they would make more money in Bellator than they would in the UFC. They know that the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to the UFC. The broadcasting ability, the ability to work with ESPN, right? All these things you don't get with with Bellator or PFL. PFL, they're involved with, they're on ESPN, so they do have those perks. And they have a decent. I think the PFL is a great subset of professional MMA. I think it's fantastic. Their business model's great. This $1 million contract, this $1 million fight thing, I think it's fantastic. Everybody knows what's available to them, and they obviously still get paid along the way. I think the tournament structure is great. I think they need to work on their lighting and possibly cleaning up their interface a little bit. So, if you don't like what the UFC is doing to these fighters, stop paying for the pay-per-views. Oh, and a lot of you guys saying, I don't pay for pay-per-views. I just stream it. Okay, stop talking about it. Stop giving them publicity. Stop watching it. I disagree with a lot of the stuff the UFC does. I really enjoy MMA, and it just so happens that the UFC provides, on average, the best viewing content experience, the best viewing experience week in, week out. They also have the most content. They have the ability to do that. And I bring that up because I think over time, this will be profitable for the fighters. You just need to have people like Francis Ngannou who aren't willing to say, yeah, I'll take whatever you're going to pay me before they sign the contract. I understand that the terms of a contract can change based off of conditions when the contract was signed versus, the current conditions. Obviously, like a global pandemic, the way that the pay-per-view model has changed, those kinds of things. If your contract was penned at a time where the profit margins were different and the way people made money were different than they are now, there's an argument to be made against keeping the terms of that contract intact. And maybe behind closed doors, the UFC has taken care of that, especially some of their more popular fighters. I mean, look at Daniel Cormier. Never complains about the UFC pay. Why? Because I guarantee he's making bank. Behind closed doors, out on the surface, everywhere, he's making money. And that's the crux of this argument against this, or for it, the way the UFC's model is, if you reach the notoriety that, every UFC fighter, I think, is aiming for, the rewards are incredible. Now, they're not as good as in boxing, but then again, starting out in the UFC is better than starting out as a professional low-level boxer who makes peanuts. Yes, high-level boxers make way more money than anybody in the UFC does. Fantastic. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that it's better to be a low-level boxer than it is to be an entry-level fighter in the UFC making 5-5, 10-10. I still think those contracts can just be doubled. I don't think 5-5 should exist anymore. I might be speaking out of turn. I don't know if they do. But the kind of economy's changed enough. I think 10-10 is fair. And I don't mean in a way of like minimum wage this or that. I just mean of inflation. I think 10-10 is fair. Well, it's fair to move it up to at least that is what I'm saying. All right, that's the end of my rant for that anyway. Okay, thank you all for listening. Enjoy the fights this weekend. They're going to be phenomenal. The restrictions are lightening up. If you feel comfortable, now's the time to get the family together, bring in new fans. This is Conor McGregor. He can bring people in who normally don't watch MMA. This is a good chance to hook some of your other friends who maybe aren't as interested in MMA to watch. There's some really good fights on this card, especially on the prelims. Right? They can gauge their interest. Maybe not the Ryan Hall fight, but the Trevin Giles fight, the Nico Price fight, the Carlos Condit fight. We're talking about like really good high-level MMA on the prelims for them to watch. And yes, I kind of crapped on Sean O'Malley being the opener for the main card, but that could be an exciting fight too. Like, there's a lot of chance for this not to be a stinker. So I think this is a good card to bring in, some of your less savvy friends into MMA with. Have them over. Like I said, the restrictions are lightening up. People are more and more comfortable. The vaccine is spread. Like, a lot of people have the vaccine, or so they're feeling more comfortable in crowds. Invite people over, have your friends and family over, watch these fights. I think they're going to be a blast. I really do. Anyway, I wonder if I could be more monotone the next time I say that. It's going to be a blast. You should really watch them. All right, guys. Thank you for making it this far. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I said in the intro, if you skipped all the way to here, interesting technique. I wouldn't have gone there. Let's see if it pays off for you. But if you're catching this, please comment below. Let me know what you think about the fights. What do you think about fighter pay? The way that fighters are complaining about things post contract signing. Again, just to reiterate, I don't think that they're being treated fairly. Okay, I do not think that. But I think some of the onus needs to be put on the fighters who are willing to sign these contracts on the off chance that they will make it. Right? That's what they're betting on themselves. It's a bet. Right? They're taking a risk. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, let me know what you think about all that. Give me your opinions. I'd love to discuss that stuff with you. Thank you, Assam, for listening. If you made it this far, you're the best. All right. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the fights. Have a great weekend. Love y'all. Bye.